Alright guys, Terrible Mechanic here. Welcome back to another video. So I'm probably going to break this up into multiple parts because there's going to be multiple things that I'm going to be doing for this repair. Remember that oil leak that I told you guys about a while ago?
Wait.
Come to find out that it was coming from the VVTi, and I was going on about how expensive this repair is. Now, chances are that it might just be the O-rings. So I'm hoping that it's just the O-rings that need to be replaced, but I also have the camshaft front seal that I'm going to replace as well, and I also have the gaskets for the caps here, so I'm going to be working on that. I also have the gaskets for the valve covers, so I'm going to take apart all of this. It's probably going to bleed into the next day. I'm going to take my time to try to do this methodically and carefully as possible. Try not to lose any bolts or anything like that. Try not to break anything. So it's going to be a lengthy project. So yeah, I'm going to have to break this down into multiple parts. So before I can even get started, it's a couple of things that I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to drain the coolant, because when I take apart these coolant hoses, so I can try to get some clearance, a lot of coolant's going to leak. So I'm going to try to minimize that. And just to give myself some space, I'm gonna take off the air intake and so forth, so I can try to get some, some clearance or whatever. And along the way, I'm also gonna try to clean up. I got some brake cleaner. I'm gonna try to clean up the valve covers and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a lengthy video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna try to cut it up and chop it up to not make it too long. So I already kind of got started. I loosened up. I took apart the terminals there for the battery. As you can see, I got the car jack. My kids are playing with my tools, got it all over the place. And the very next thing that I'm going to do, hey, you guys make sure you put this back in here, okay? All right. The next thing I'm going to do is drain the coolant, but I do want you guys to see this, so you can see how it's all that gunk, that black gunk there is from oil leaking, drying up. You can kind of see where the oil is coming from. So I'm gonna try to hit that with some degreaser as well to clean that up. So anyway, let's see. Let's drain this coolant. We got our knob there. I'm gonna twist that. Alright, we got our coolant. I'm gonna let that drain. Yeah, I'm not really worried about draining all the coolant because I'm gonna put new coolant in there anyway. It's been a while since I topped off with coolant, so I'm just gonna put new coolant in there anyway. Not a big deal. So when I take these valve covers off, I am gonna clean them up with some brake cleaner, replace the gaskets. I already did my spark plugs. The only thing I wish is that I had a set of coil packs, so I could do that as well, since I'm already taking everything apart here. It would have been nice to just go ahead and just take care of that along the way. But I could always do that later, so not really worried about that either. I can always take care of that. So now that we got the coolant draining, I guess I can start removing the air intake, the coolant pipe here. I'm not going to bother taking out the radiator. I think I have a lot of space to do what I have to do. Eventually I'm going to have to do the timing belt too. That's going to be another project. So yeah, that'll get done eventually as well. But I should have enough room once I take the air intake off, take all these gadgets off for the valve cover, and you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of the crankshaft in there, and yeah, so I'll be right back. Alright, so you can see with me taking out the air intake, we got a lot more room to remove these caps here, but I'm not but I'm not done yet. I'm going to, I don't think I need to remove this piece. I think I have enough room. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this here, but I'm definitely gonna take the top and the bottom coolant hose off. Break your coolant hose. I'm gonna just take this out slowly. Probably gonna let that finish draining out. Let me show you guys something. So if you are attempting to do this at home, I mean, I looked on YouTube and I don't see too many videos for this specific car. If you don't know already, this is a 2001 Lexus LS430. It's not too many hits as far as videos go with someone doing this project. So you remove this coolant hose, you got coolant that's in here that'll leak out. You also got coolant in here that'll leak out. And this hose here, coolant will leak out of this as well. And as you can see, there's a hose going into the radiator and going towards the bottom. So just be wary when you take those out. You want to try not to get any fluids on this belt here. When I did, not gonna lie, coolant did get on the belt, but it wasn't the biggest issue in the world. I just let it dry up before I turned the car on and went about my day to day. What else did I want to mention to you guys? What else? I think that's all I wanted to mention. If I didn't say it before, I do want to replace this belt. I think it's been a long time since it's been replaced. I want to do like the whole timing belt system already. I think this brand Eisen makes a kit for it. Alright, so just to show you guys what I'm talking about, that coolant line was here. The first time I took it apart, you can see a lot of coolant right there because I didn't drain it. So that's where the coolant leaked out. Now I do have some more coolant leaking. I got some more coolant draining out right now. But I went ahead and loosened up these clasps here so I can take this hose off, because there's a bracket that's connecting this hose and this hose to the cap here. So I'm gonna let the coolant drain out some more before I take this hose off, so I can move this completely out the way. You probably don't have to now that I'm looking at it, but I'm just gonna do it. Oh, you also have a connector here. Take this connector off, move it to the side. So I'll be right back. Alright, so now that we got these bolts taken apart, I can take off this cover here. this grommet can come off. Let's see. Just push it out from the inside. Boom, just like that. Alright, so you see that we got our cover off here. Now, like I said, like I mentioned before, I did go in before, like a couple days, to take this off and see if I could get this sealed to cover the cracks in the gasket, but I think it did pretty good. It held up tight, but I'd rather replace the gasket itself. And as you can see, I already hit this with some brake cleaner because it was dirty in the inside. This looks a lot better in the inside, so I didn't do that for this one, but let me just go ahead and show you what I was talking about regarding the gasket. So as you can see on this gasket here, it's a little wet. Could be some coolant because I just leaked some coolant from this hose here, but on the bottom here you can kind of see some oil. So I'm hoping that the gasket will help, the new gasket will help with that. And I don't know if you guys can see this. Try to zoom in, but there's some oil right here from the inside. Camera will focus. All right, yeah, there's some oil here. So once I take off the valve covers, we'll see this whole crank system. You'll get more of a good visualization of what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover this front end here with a rag, so no dust or anything like that can get into it. And this belt, I also want to replace this belt as well because I know it's been a very long time since it's been replaced, as everything else in this car. So trying to be proactive, trying to keep this car up and running because it is fun to drive. It's a really fun car to drive. 0 to 60 in a matter of seconds. So what I'm gonna do next? Yeah, I'm gonna take off this gasket. So let's see. Let me get the camera set up. Alright, so let me show you how hard this thing is. You can just break it. So that gasket is done. Take this whole gasket off. This thing is hard as hell. Hard plastic. It's not good. So what you see, this orange stuff here, this was some gasket maker. I just tried that. I figured why not, just to try to see if that would help with the oil leaks, but it didn't. I'm just gonna get some brake cleaner here, clean this up, wipe this down. Alright, so we got our new gasket. Now let's see, looks like it'll go this way. Yeah. Alright, so start at the corner here. Alright, and just like that, our new gasket is on. I'm just gonna press down on here and make sure it's on there all the way. Now I'm not sure if you have to put any type of solution on here, but when I took it off, the old one, I didn't notice anything, so I'm just gonna do it like this. And I guess the bolts is what'll tighten it down when it's pressed against its other half. Hope you guys can get this. Alright, so that's on. Now I'm gonna start taking apart the other one and go from there. I'll be right back. Alright, so now for the other side, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna loosen up these bolts. I want to say there's a total of 1, 2, 3 bolts holding this cap together. Yeah, a total of 3 bolts holding the cap together. Or 4 bolts. The other one had 4 bolts. So you might need an extension to get this last one because it's closer to the belt here. And the way I'm doing it is I'm going right behind the radiator and underneath. Yeah, an extension would definitely help. I got a longer one. Let me use a longer extension, I guess. So the reason why, for me, this is concerning, this oil leak, is because it's leaking onto my radiator. And if you guys follow me, my video where I replaced my radiator, that wasn't cheap. So, and it wasn't bad doing it the first time, but I'd rather not, have to spend almost $400 for another radiator if I don't have to. So, definitely want to take care of this oil leak before it, causes damage to the radiator, and I gotta go get a new radiator and still have to deal with this. So it just makes sense to try to fix this all in one shot. So I guess removing this hose will make getting access to this bolt a lot better, but let me go ahead and do it for the sake of the video. Perfect. So like I said, it's a good idea to drain the coolant before you start doing this, because coolant would have been leaking out everywhere. So now let's move this to the side. Alright, yeah, that's much better. Removing the hose out the way is a lot better. Make sure you move everything. Comes out just like that. So I'm gonna hit this with some brake cleaner. I'm gonna replace this gasket. And as you can see, guys, there's oil seeping out and it's dripping down. So we don't want that. I don't know if you guys can see, but right down there's some oil as well from where it was leaking. Oh man. Alright, so let me get another rag and cover this gear up. Alright, so we do a side-by-side comparison. You can see the inside is dirty. I'm going to hit this up with some brake cleaner and have it looking as good as this one. They're two different sizes, so when you do get these gaskets that'll come in, you'll obviously know if you're putting on the wrong gasket for whichever side. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up really quick, get the gasket on there, and then I'm going to move on to removing the valve covers. I'll be right back. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got our gaskets on, our covers here. I'm going to put this to the side because now we're going to start taking off the valve covers. And just to show you guys, Whenever you got gaskets that's like this, that's not good. You want to replace them immediately. So
Hey,
let me position the camera, and I'll start showing you guys the process of me removing the valve covers. Be right back.